Surprise, surprise, Arne Slot has done it again, pulling off another win for us with his brilliant substitutions. Let's be honest, that was a tough game to sit through, wasn't it? But what made it all worth it was the result. The Reds grinding out a hard-fought yet well-deserved 2-0 victory, thanks to a brace from none other than Darwin Chaos Nunez. Yes, our Uruguayan forward often finds himself under heavy criticism, but this performance should give him some breathing room. As expected, this wasn't an easy game. Brentford gave us plenty of problems, especially with how well they set up defensively. On top of that, some of the challenges Liverpool faced were self-inflicted. Mistakes both with and without the ball that made things trickier than they needed to be. So if you missed the match, want to understand the struggles Liverpool faced, or just want to see how Slot's brilliance secured those 3 points for us yet again, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive right into it. As usual, Alisson started between the posts despite some criticism about his form since returning from injury. The rest of the starting 11 saw just one change. Kostas Tsimikas stepping in for Andrew Robertson, joining Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Trent Alexander-Arnold to complete the backline. The midfield trio was as expected, with Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis Mac Allister, and Dominic Szoboszlai pulling the strings, while Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, and Mo Salah formed the attacking front three. Now let's talk about that first half, because some recurring issues popped up, issues we need to address right away, specifically our pressing. At the start of the game, Brentford went long from their goal kicks, but once they figured out how we were pressing, they grew in confidence and started trying to slice through our lines. Here's the problem. We pressed with fewer numbers than Brentford had in their deeper areas, and this was eerily similar to what happened during our EFL game against Spurs. In this match, Diaz curved his run from the left and cut inside to force Brentford's build-up toward their left side, where Salah and Szoboszlai were primed to press. But even with Diaz's pressing run, Brentford still managed to play through us. Why? Because their players kept rotating in deeper areas, opening up passing lanes. The bigger issue was that Gakpo was tasked with staying deeper instead of joining the press. This gave Brentford an extra man during their build-up. Meanwhile, Mac Allister and Gravenberch stayed tight to their midfield assignments, which made it easy for Brentford to progress the ball on the ground. Now, we understand the logic behind this. It's a safer approach designed to keep Liverpool in a numerical advantage at the back, especially against Brentford's fast and physical duo of Wissa and Bomo. But as the half went on, we saw just how beneficial it can be to press high with enough numbers. Let me show you an example. In this instance, we saw a similar approach, with Diaz working to lock Brentford's build-up to one side, while Salah and Szoboszlai jumped out of their zones to apply pressure. However, this time there was a key difference. Gakpo stepped up to press Brentford's right-sided centre-back instead of staying deep. Mac Allister and Tsimikas also supported the press from the left-hand side, which helped us limit Brentford's ability to progress the ball. Thankfully, we maintained this pressing structure from goal kicks in the second half. As always, this allowed us to sustain pressure and stop Brentford from slicing through our lines as they had done earlier in the match. Another issue, though, was the lack of press baiting during our own build-up phase, especially from goal kicks. See, Brentford press high in a man-to-man setup in these situations, but they're also incredibly quick at dropping into a low block to shut down any transitional opportunities. The problem here was that we didn't make enough of an effort to invite their press by pulling them higher up the pitch before going long. Now, for our final issue, our play in the final third. In this game, we had a significant field tilt of 83.8%, essentially camping in Brentford's half for large periods. But despite this dominance, we struggled to create enough quality chances to make the most of our territorial advantage. When we had the ball on the right-hand side, the focus was often on squeezing it towards Salah in the half space to get him involved. On the left, Gakpo, Tsimikas and Mac Allister frequently combined to whip in crosses, typically aimed at the far post where Salah made his trademark runs. This approach almost paid off in the first half when Salah managed to pull the ball back to Szoboszlai, but unfortunately the Hungarian couldn't capitalise on the opportunity. The bigger issue though was what happened when we did manage to get into the penalty box. Our players often found themselves in unfavourable scenarios, facing a wall of Brentford defenders blocking the majority of our shots. In fact, nearly half of our total attempts were blocked, a clear indicator of our ongoing struggles against teams who defend in a low block. But you know what? This is Liverpool, and until the referee blows the final whistle, these players will fight to the last second. Most importantly, with Arne Slot at the helm, solutions will always be found. Take the substitutions for example. The introductions of Harvey Elliott, Darwin Nunez, and Federico Chiesa were game changers and played a massive role in securing this victory. Let's talk about the first goal. Harvey Elliott was instrumental, slipping Trent into the right half space, a key area we'd struggled to exploit for nearly the entire match. That's exactly why Elliott deserves more minutes in games like this. His creativity in tight spaces and his ability to use his left foot to deliver crosses or play those incisive passes like he did for the goal are qualities we desperately need in situations like these. For the second goal, Chiesa's positioning, quick turn, and perfectly weighted pass to Elliott gave us the edge before Darwin Núñez slotted in his second goal in just 2 minutes. Now, let's be honest, even we've had our doubts about Darwin at times, despite recognizing his immense potential. But thankfully, he proved us wrong in this game with 2 outstanding finishes. Finishes that could end up being pivotal in determining the outcome of the title race as the season progresses. That being said, don't get us wrong, we had near total control of the game apart from a few moments where Brentford threatened us on the counter. However, and this is something that needs to be addressed as soon as possible, this control has to translate into more of a consistent attacking threat, especially against teams sitting in a low block. What's critical is creating these opportunities earlier in games, because the longer we allow opponents to settle and grow into the match, the harder it becomes for us to break them down. And this brings us to the big question for today. Is Arne Slot's Liverpool too reliant on transitions and creating counter-attacking opportunities? When you look at the points we've dropped this season, many of them have come against teams that prefer to sit back and defend deep. Like Nottingham Forest or Newcastle, who are excellent at defending in a mid-block. Could it be that this over-reliance on transition play is what's causing us to struggle in these kinds of games? Another potential issue is the lack of creativity in tight areas. Harvey Elliott showed just how valuable a creative spark can be in this game, making an immediate impact with his vision and passing. On the other hand, Mac Allister has often been tasked with providing defensive cover, which might be limiting his ability to influence the game on the ball. Could this imbalance in roles be part of the problem? Now, you might think we're being overly critical or spoiling the joy of a good win. But in reality, we're raising these points because we want our team to adopt a more sustainable approach. An approach that allows us to not only control games both with and without the ball, but also to consistently threaten our opponents for the full 90 minutes. Take the pressing, for example. As we discussed earlier, it was subpar in the early stages of the game, which gave Brentford the chance to breathe and play through our lines. But once we adjusted the structure and increased our intensity, the improvement was clear and we regained control. The build-up phase, while much improved in the second half, especially with Brentford dropping their defensive lines, still deserves a closer look. Striking the right balance between creating fast transitions and slowly progressing through the phases is crucial. Of course, we have to remember this is Slot's first season in charge. Nobody expected this level of improvement in control, let alone being in a position to challenge for the title. So there's no doubt that with better recruitment and more time on the training ground, Liverpool can evolve into a team that completely suffocates opponents both with and without the ball. But what do you think about this performance? Should Slot consider tweaking his pressing approach further? Has Harvey Elliott earned himself more minutes after that impactful cameo, especially in games against low block defenses? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and stay tuned for our next breakdown.